Hi, my name is Emily Deans. I'm from Troop 2980, and the pattern I used was the Simplicity 1558. And I created a costume from Phantom of the Opera. And so this is from the Don Juan scene towards the end of the show. And so a little background on just the design of the show and why I chose it is Maria Bjornsson, the designer, she uses a phrase called "critzy crazy," which is basically she puts trims on top of like embroidery and then lace, and everything's on top of each other, and she doesn't like straight lines or anything. So there's always somewhere for you to look, and I think her designs are beautiful, and so I really wanted to show that in here. And so that's why a lot of the budget on mine was spent mostly on trims and laces and ribbons and stuff like that. And so I made a couple alterations to the pattern. It's two pieces, the jacket and the skirt. I altered the neckline and I shortened the sleeves. And then, so I did, on all the ruffles, I did this scalloping. And so basically I would trace out this pattern that I had made with a stencil, and then I would follow it with a zigzag stitch with a really small stitch length to get that kind of solid line. And then I would cut out the scalloping so that I wouldn't have, so you could get this scalloping right here. And then the jacket it's two pieces, and sorry. So what I wanted to do for this is it's a zipper in the back of the jacket and then Velcro here for easy to get out of, because the quick change from this costume to her next one is actually the fastest one in the show. So it doesn't necessarily have to be easy to get into, but she has to get out of it really easily. And so it's lightly boned here, and then I made a stomacher, and I did all the embroidery by hand. And then of course I had the fringe and the lace. And so the scene, which is the Don Juan triumphant scene, basically, or what I interpreted the designs as, is the 18th century person's view of the historical, because it's at the opera. So it's not necessarily Spanish historically accurate, but it's how, 19th century would have viewed it. So in my costume, I wanted to show both aspects of that. So it's a very 19th century silhouette, especially in the bodice with the boning and the kind of more conical shape. But of course the ruffles are very Spanish, and the color choice and the fringe is very Spanish, and then the lace is very 19th century. So I wanted to show that kind of clashing of cultures. And the same thing in the embroidery. This middle part is very 18th century, or 19th century, sorry, with French knots. But then on the side, I did more of like the traditional Spanish kind of pop arty embroidery. And so I wanted to show that a lot in my costume. So there's, kind of some of the stereotypical, like the flowers and the roses and the reds and the blacks. And so the next thing about my costume is, there's a petticoat I made, and it's actually built up in the back a little more than in the front to get a pseudo, almost bustle shape, to once again create that more 19th century silhouette. And then the petticoat is put in with, in 4 places, there's ties that it's tied in so that it can be taken apart so the costume can be washed easily. While I was researching, they wash all their costumes almost every night and it gets sent back the next day. So I wanted it to be easy to wash. And so a lot of the inside is machine stitching, so it's durable. But then a lot of the trims and laces are hand sewn on. And the zipper is hand sewn on just so I could get that blind stitch, so that there's not a lot of visible top stitching. And I know I'm forgetting something, but I think that's mostly it. Sorry.